Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Today we're talking about a fruit that seems to defy nature itself, the square watermelon. If you've ever seen a picture of one, you might have assumed it was a clever Photoshop or some kind of strange genetic experiment. But the truth is much more interesting. This cuboid creation is very real, and it's not the product of genetic modification. It's the result of a fascinating blend of old-school agriculture and clever design. So let's peel back the rind on the art and science of growing square watermelons. The story begins in Japan, specifically in Kagawa Prefecture, back in 1978. A graphic designer named Tomoyuki Ono was wrestling with a simple, everyday problem. Round watermelons are awkward. They roll around when you try to transport them, and they take up way too much circular space in the typically small, rectangular Japanese refrigerators. Ono's solution was elegant. What if the watermelon itself was rectangular? He envisioned a fruit that could be stacked neatly like bricks, fitting perfectly into modern life. He was so confident in his idea that he presented it in a Tokyo art gallery and even secured a patent for it in the United States. The concept was revolutionary in its simplicity. Force a watermelon to grow inside a square box, and it will naturally take on that shape. Farmers in the town of Zentsuji, also in Kagawa, saw the genius in this and began producing them. To this day, Zentsuji is recognized as the home of the square watermelon. But here's where the story takes a turn. While the initial goal was practicality, the reality of producing these watermelons was anything but simple. The process turned out to be incredibly labor-intensive. Each fruit requires constant attention and care to grow into that perfect cube. Because of the difficulty and the limited number of farmers skilled in the technique, production has always been low. And with low supply and high demand comes a high price. Back in 2001, a single square watermelon could sell for about 10,000 yen in Japan, which was around $83 at the time, 2 or 3 times the price of a regular watermelon. By 2014, they were spotted selling for $200 in Canada. Today, prices can range anywhere from $100 to over $350, depending on the market. This high cost completely changed the fruit's purpose. It was no longer a space-saving food item. It became a luxury good, a status symbol, and a novelty gift. This fits perfectly within Japanese culture, where giving fruit as a gift is a common and highly respected tradition. The more perfect and unblemished the fruit, the more prestigious the gift. The square watermelon, with its unnatural, perfect lines, became the ultimate luxury fruit gift. This shift from food to ornament led to the most surprising fact about most square watermelons. You're not supposed to eat them. To ensure the watermelon maintains its sharp edges and perfect cubic form, farmers harvest them before they are fully ripe. This also gives them an incredibly long shelf life, allowing them to be displayed for months. But it means the flesh inside is often pale, yellowish, and completely inedible. People who have tried to eat them describe the taste as bitter, or more like a cucumber than a sweet watermelon. The fruit's entire purpose had shifted from flavor to form. It had become a piece of living art, meant to be looked at, not eaten. So if it's not genetic modification, how exactly is it done? The secret lies in plant physiology. A plant's growth is incredibly adaptable. When you place a very young watermelon, just a baby, inside a rigid container, you're simply giving it a new boundary. As the fruit grows, its internal turgor pressure, the force of water pushing against the cell walls, pushes against the sides of the mold. The cells continue to divide and expand, but they have nowhere to go but into the corners of the box. The fruit is forced to conform to the shape of its enclosure. The choice of watermelon variety is also key. The farmers in Zentsuji famously use a striped variety called Shimao. But for anyone wanting to try this at home, smaller, so-called icebox varieties like Sugar Baby or Golden Midget are great choices because their compact size is easier to manage inside a mold. An ideal variety has a rind that's tough enough to handle the pressure without cracking, but also elastic enough to conform to the shape. This whole process does put the plant under stress. the confinement can affect how nutrients and water are distributed throughout the fruit. The rind might become thicker or have a different cellular structure where it pushes against the mold. This is also why the design of the mold is so critical. Without proper ventilation, the trapped humidity can cause the fruit to rot. Now, let's get into the fun part. You can actually grow one of these yourself. It's a challenging project, but incredibly rewarding. Here's a step-by-step guide. First, you need the right seeds and soil. As I mentioned, smaller varieties like Sugar Baby are best for beginners. Watermelons are hungry plants, so they need rich, well-draining soil. Mix in a lot of compost or aged manure. They also need a ton of sun, at least 8 hours of direct sunlight per day. Second, you need a mold. This is the most important part. You can buy them online. They're usually made of clear, strong polycarbonate plastic and come with all the screws and bolts you need. But if you're feeling adventurous, you can build your own. Use strong, clear materials like 1/4-inch thick plexiglass or acrylic sheets. A good size to aim for is an 8-inch cube. The design should be a box that you can open and close securely around the fruit. A hinged design with a latch works well. Crucially, you need a notch or hole for the stem to pass through without being choked. And you absolutely must drill lots of small ventilation holes on all sides. This prevents heat and moisture buildup, which will lead to rot. Third is the planting and care. Plant your seeds or seedlings and give them consistent water, especially as the fruit starts to develop. Feed them with a balanced fertilizer. Once you see fruits forming, you can switch to a fertilizer higher in potassium and phosphorus to support the fruit's growth. Fourth, and this is all about timing, is placing the watermelon in the mold. You want to wait until the fruit is about the size of a softball or a large orange. At this point, it's big enough not to rot but still young and malleable enough to be shaped. Carefully open your mold. Place it around the tiny watermelon, making sure the stem is free and not pinched, and then securely latch the box. Fifth, you need to monitor it daily. This is where the real work begins. You should rotate the mold and the fruit every few days to ensure it grows evenly and gets sun on all sides. Keep an eye out for condensation inside the box. If you see it, you might need to open the mold on a dry, sunny day to let it air out. Also, place the mold on a small platform to keep it off the damp ground. And be prepared for the sheer force of nature. A growing watermelon can exert immense pressure, so if your DIY mold isn't strong enough, it could crack. Finally, harvesting. For an ornamental square watermelon, you'll harvest it when it has completely filled the mold, but before it's technically ripe. A good indicator is when the little tendril on the vine closest to the fruit stem starts to turn brown and dry up. Carefully open the mold. Cut the fruit from the vine, leaving a little bit of stem for looks, and there you have it, your own geometric masterpiece, ready for display. While Zensuji, Japan, remains the heart of production, the fame of these square watermelons has gone global. They're a niche, but very profitable, export. You can find them in high-end grocery stores in the United States, Russia, and Germany. The international price is often even higher than in Japan, sometimes fetching over $600 for a single fruit. The limited production in Zensuji, which is said to be only a few hundred watermelons a year, helps maintain this exclusivity. However, their success has inspired a whole market for novelty-shaped produce. You can now find molds to grow heart-shaped cucumbers, Buddha-shaped pears, and even pumpkins with faces molded into them. In the end, the square watermelon is so much more than a weird fruit. It's a cultural phenomenon. It represents a deep appreciation for innovation, precision, and finding art in the everyday. Its journey from a practical solution for a small refrigerator to a high-end, inedible piece of decorative art is a perfect story of human ingenuity. It's a beautiful reminder that with a little creativity, even the most ordinary things can become extraordinary. Thanks for listening to G Fun Facts Online.